Welcome to Tribal Chic.
Welcome. With me here today is an outstanding, extraordinary lady. Her name Letoya, and we're just gonna have a little bit of a chat. She's a fashion icon. She's a coach for those ladies that walk the runway, the catwalk. And we're just gonna have a chat with her. It's really good to meet you, Latoya. We haven't met, but it's really fascinating to meet you.
Thank you so much. It's really such an honor.
Yes.
This is my first time ever since Couture started working that I'm being interviewed by Couture Africa. So thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. So a lot of our audiences may not know you, especially those watching from overseas, like in the US or somewhere in Europe or whatever.
Yes.
So, but here you are very well known. We know, love, and respect you a lot.
Thank you.
But if you can take a minute and look into one of those cameras and introduce yourself to our audiences, I think they'll appreciate that.
Wonderful. So, hi everyone, my name is Letoya Johnstone. I'm a fashion catwalk coach. I am also a fashion contributor for the Nairobi newspaper working under Olga Nato, and I worked under multi-award winning Connie Award. And I also run an ungovernmental non-profit organization called Transuri, which is specifically transgender, gender non-conforming, and intersex persons in the rural areas of Homa Bay. Apart from this, I've been named a fashion icon by BBC, but then I've also been recognized with different publications and winning awards as far as the UK and being nominated in the United States of America, just to mention but a few. That sounds like really a show off, right?
No, it's really good. I mean, if it's you, you gotta own it. Absolutely.
Thank you so much. Yes. And yes, Edward Enninful of British Vogue is always checking up on my stories. So I always make sure that whenever I'm styling people, it is good. Another thing that people need to know is that I am a personal shopper for the billionaires, or I can call them the high life of the society in Kenya. And I'm always a wardrobe stylist for them because so much is happening, and it seems like the people with the money don't know how to arrange their closet, or if they do know, one thing I know for sure, they are old money, I'm new money, and as they always say, take care of the coins and the notes will take care of themselves.
That's right, that's absolutely right. So now, BBC named you a fashion icon, and I think they're just acknowledging what's self-evident, right?
That's true.
So because you already have that, and so they can name you that. Looking at you, Latoya, I see a lot of stuff you have on that is really beautiful.
Thank you.
The headpiece, and the matching bracelets, and both hands and the rings. Did you make any of those, or are they made here in Kenya, Nairobi? And the outfit is beautiful, by the way.
Oh, thank you so much.
Tell us a little bit about some of what you have on.
All right. So today at the Tribe Hotel, we were actually talking about sustainable fashion. And one of the things that we did in Kibera, which is one of Africa's biggest slum, is that I collaborated through my organization, Toy Models. I collaborated with the Video Foundation, and all of us coming from Kibera in the slums, we came up together and we did a fashion show. And this fashion show was more to tell the stories of our background, where we come from, and we wanted to tell the world that our own struggles do not define who we are. So these pieces, which are the jewelries, are actually by Victoria's, and Victoria's is coming from Kibera, which is from the slums, and they're making these pieces and they're selling them, and they're taking care of their families and the community. Apart from that, this headpiece is made by them, Victoria's jewelries, and one thing that is standing in front, about this is that it has got a lion at the top, if you could see.
I saw that.
Yes, a Simba. And then it is actually made from brass. So one brass is actually something that is gotten from the earth. So whenever we are talking about sustainability, we need to give gratitude to Mother Earth.
Absolutely.
Number two, the longest lion living in Kenya that was taking care of all the lions in Kenya aged and at some point died. And it is something that was celebrated. Although in Kenya, they don't always give us all this information a lot, and they don't tell it. So basically, you will hear about them in the international periphery. So this one is paying tribute to the wild, the lion that died, and sustainability, whereby we want to own jewelries that can stay for long, so that in case we have to do something, we can only upcycle, rather than doing fast fashion. The piece or the cloth that I'm wearing is from Olga Nato, from her 2000 collection, 2001 collection, and this is vintage because when we made these pieces, people could not even understand where we are coming from. They were just wearing them because they love them. But what is the best way to talk about sustainability when you are going back to what people are not wearing now? You are going back to bring it. I know very well that all of us, including those other people, still run to their fathers, to their grandfathers' wardrobe to pick either a sweater or a pair of shoe or the kind of music to listen to. And that is sustainability.
Absolutely.
And sustainability is something that is also diverse because climate change is happening here. The urban centers are actually upcycling water, or actually are giving water to other people, and water which is supposed to be free is now being sold to us, and it's becoming expensive. So it's a long journey rather than a destination. But I wore all these today because I wanted to tell people that it is important for you to keep your old pieces, and it is always good to have jewelries that you can keep and then can help you continue. There is something that you are saving, and you also have the right stories to say. They call it zilizopendwa.
Absolutely. So I'm listening, I'm looking at some of what you have. Beautiful bracelets, necklace, and you said they come from Kibera. When people think about Kibera, they think slum and ugliness and just no good, right?
That's
but
correct.
The beauty coming out of there is phenomenal.
Exactly, because one of the beauty that is coming from Kibera is myself. When I started...
You're from Kibera?
Yes, I come from Kibera. I call it Lower Karen, darling.
Lower Karen?
Yes, right. Because I do believe that Karen is actually extended over from Kibera. So myself, I worked so hard to be where I am, because I remember when I was still starting, most people could not hire me in the runway as a model. Number two, I was too tall and thin. Number three, I came from the village and the city was too expensive. So the place where I could really stay while going to school was in Kibera. So actually I went to college, and as I was working in the hospital where I was working with Medicine San Fonse as a HIV counselor, and then later on I joined Women Fighting AIDS in Kenya to help the youth get the knowledge behind HIV and AIDS and how to empower the youth to be able to learn how to eradicate or reduce STIs, meaning sexually transmitted infections. So basically I have a long history, because apart from fashion, I am also a counseling psychologist and I am also a social worker, because I have a diploma in social work. And my work is always balancing between fashion and in the hospital. That's why I am always able to learn about sustainability and then also look into what best can fashion do. So fashion is just a vessel within which people are always communicating to other people. And it could be recycling. And recycling, if you look at these things, they are made of glass. And these glass are actually...
just glasses?
Yes, these are just glasses, and these are beads. So the glasses that are good, like this one is a Sprite glass that has been like really molded and done and then crafted because it is green. If you look on this other side, it is beadwork. And if you look at all these are different glasses and cut and shape. So if they are not stones, then they are glasses. And the stones also come up to here, whereby they are also like a specific hardwood that then is burnt and then cleaned and all that. So everything is sustainability, but only those ones that have dried naturally. They don't go cut cutting trees to end them. We want to make sure that the greenery is taken care of. After all, Wangari Maathai, the Nobel Peace Prize winner, encouraged us not to kill the streets because Mother Nature is not going to be kind. So when you go and you get one that is in the wild, that is the one that they are using. So we are teaching also these jewelry designers about it is okay to have the craftsmanship, but then it is also important to know what kind of information and the language you are speaking. Because whenever it gets to us, this energy reflects in different ways, and also it impacts people differently.
Wow.
Yes.
So there's a lot. There's a lot. There's a lot of creativity. There's a lot of repurposing of stuff we've used, and now we find new ways to use them again.
Exactly.
And how did you get into all of that? That's like you have like 20 different things you can do. Some of us can only do one, but you can do so many.
So you know, I have a background where I come from extreme poverty, where I was not able to learn Swahili because English was my first language and Luo. And then apart from that, when you are deprived of something, you start wanting and getting to know how to create a solution out of the chaos. And there are so many people who never liked us because of the kind of background that we are coming from. And apart from that, our background had to define us. And what I would say is that you have to thrive in a space where when you are thrown for fire, how about if you make it to make food and warm your body? If you are thrown for wind, then bend it to make sure that at least it helps you sail in the sea. But if you are also put in a space where you're not able to thrive, so they always say that our background transform who we are and can either make us become the people that we want to be. So I think number one, the reason as to why I worked so hard to be where I am is I never wanted to be poor anymore. So I had to look for a way within which to save myself from the culture of poverty and all that. Number two, I think it was more of empowering the fellow youth, because when we are going to school and our clothes are torn, what was the better way of actually transforming what is always called ugly into a beautiful thing? It is actually upcycling and recycling what is always there. And the African society does it in a beautiful way. If you have a brother or a sister that is older than you, whether you are a boy or girl, your clothes will always be given to you to start the journey. They don't care if you are a girl or if you are a boy. Gender do not matter. As you keep on carrying on, then you define yourself by who you are. You start extinguishing yourself because you get to a part of duality where you get to know who you are. So I think it is because of the dark background, the rejections, the less payments, the fact that somebody else had to speak for me, and also being a transgender woman, it is not easy for people to just have conversation or talk to you, because most of the time people look at you as someone who's not right in the society. So what do you do with that? What you do is that you refine yourself and you build something that can make other people look up to you rather than loving you, because I can love myself.
I love that. I think that's really good.
Thank you.
You are really an inspiration, I think.
Thank you.
I think that your story is the human story, the story of struggle. Coming out of your background and trying to reinvent yourself. To actualize your best self. And I think that there are probably a lot of young people here in Kenya and around Africa, really around the world, who may be in a similar situation where they think they're disadvantaged and may not have a lot of opportunities, just like you felt growing up. What would you say to those young people today? If you can look into the camera, what would you say to the young person who is questioning their own identity, or maybe beauty, or maybe self-concept, or maybe lack of opportunity, or whatever? If you can look into the camera, what would you say to them to encourage them tonight?
So number one thing that people need to know is that beauty is only beautiful when it is debatable. This thing of the standard beauty is messed up. Be who you are, don't look at other person, and don't believe what somebody else had ever put down as standard of beauty. Remember, during the times of the olden days, the plus size women and the plus size people were the real thing. Those were the portraits that were expensive that nobody could buy. Then somebody else started saying that, oh, it is the skinny people, then it is the light skin. Everybody is always having their part. Number two, opportunities are everywhere. The only difference is us who are growing in Africa, or those people who are living in poverty, start looking down upon themselves, and they block themselves from trying to find a solution without knowing that, listen, there is something to be done to fix this. So I keep on telling people that a journey is not something that you arrive at every day. Children of today, or the youths of today, tend to think that, hey, I wanna be Michelle Obama, or I wanna be Letoya Johnstone. No, you can never be me, my darling. My blueprint is actually my pain, my sweat, my struggle. The doors that were locked, I didn't have to kick them. I had to look for a strategy to buy a piece of land next to where those people live, build a more beautiful house so that they could come to my place during Thanksgiving and say, hey, we cooked turkey. But I had to strategize on how to place myself. My mother always say, there are only 3 stones for you to make your food. You take away one, you are in trouble. And that is how the society is. I'm so humbled that I grew up in poverty and in the rural areas, but I'm rich because number one, I'm full of wisdom, because I had a grandmother who could tell me the stories. Who do you have? Who do you want to be? Where do you want to go from here? I want you to remember this. Helping other people every now and then because you want to move with the whole society is killing you. You need to take care of yourself, work so hard, and make sure that your cup is full. Because when your cup is full and it overflows, then the overflow is for other people. But what is in the cup is for you. Remember, Ian Van Sant said that if you are a person that keeps on giving other people, you make them a thief of joy. And you need to also know that you need to be a leader without no title for you to be able to serve the society. But you can only serve the society when you are self-sustained. So don't go quick and go fast. Remember, Oprah was actually looked down upon for years. Tyra Banks was rejected 6 times before she was signed. Naomi Campbell was called the B word before. And Letoya Johnstone is nowadays sitting in interviews that she was never invited, included, or even wanted. How did I do that? I had to define who I was. I had to sell what was not existing, and that could be you right now. And when you have something that other people don't have, everybody wants to hear the story. And yes, I am on the seat, telling both my story and other people's stories, including in the wild.
Awesome. These are great words of wisdom.
Thank you.
As scripture would say, let those who have ears hear. You know, this is really powerful thing.
Yes.
So, a couple more questions for you. You've been very gracious to give us some time tonight. But I'd like to ask you, first of all, what's your hope for Africa? You know, because outside of Africa, when people look at us, it seems like we're beset by, you know, disease and poverty and struggle and war and Ebola and this and that and the other, right?
Yes.
But maybe a little bit over dramatized sometimes. But we do have our own challenges. But you have been here. You know this place. You know Africa. You are Africa. So what's your hope for Africa, and what message do you have for Africa and maybe for the world as well?
So I want people to know that the word hope is actually Africa. The Bible says, or maybe it is not the Bible, but the cradle of mankind, life began in Africa. This is where the blueprint is. Africa is rich. And if you think I'm lying to you, look around you. Who won Miss World in 2001? Agbani Darego from Nigeria. Who won Miss Earth in 2000? Winnie Ada Omwakwe, a Miss Kenya in Africa. Which country on earth has never, ever had any debt in the whole world? It was the country of Muammar Gaddafi, Libya. I want you people to know this. Until Africans abolish the ways of the West, we shall not heal ourselves. Our presidents, who are our leaders, are leading us according to the divide and rule that the West brought in when they were giving us the Bible and taking all our beautiful things. And if you think I'm lying, our artifacts are in their countries. They are lying to you. By the words of Swirinyar Kano, there is no way somebody is going to tell you that the mind is bigger than the heart. No, darling, it is the heart that is bigger than the mind, because the heart has to feel to send the message to the brain for the brain to think, and then you give back the information. So I do believe that we have the most powerful fashion. If you look at Christian Dior, John Galliano, name them, these people were using pieces and the jewelry from as far as Sudan and South Africa and Zambia and Uganda to put all these things together. The other day I was on social media, and a Chinese man is actually created a beautiful folk song. His name is Christopher, and he's always doing like this amazing work. And the song was being sung in Luo, which is a dialect in both Uganda and in Kenya. Why do they come back? The song, another song he did in Swahili. Where is Swahili being spoken? It is in Kenya and in Tanzania. So I want you to know that Africa is standing strong. It is us to change our perspective. Look at us. We still don't even have Vogue, but we have Couture magazine, and nobody is even buying Couture magazine to read our own stories. We need to learn to tell our tales. We need to learn to tell our stories. We need to learn to create bigger awards which are paying our artists. We need to make our videographers to work together with the fashion stylists, jewelry, to create design so that we can be cohesive. It is only in Africa that people are being thrown for old clothes like H&M. And oh, did you know that H&M, Victoria's Secret that you love, and all that are being made in the Kenyan EPZ? Because it is cheap. But then when they want to throw them away, where do they bring them to? So I want you to do this. Instead of going to buy an iPhone 14, try and look for ways within which you are able to bring 10 people together, work in a community, start telling your stories, and let people hear them. And use things like folk songs, traditional songs like Dodo and all that. We don't have Maasai only in Kenya and the Gikuyu. We have over 40 something. Let us learn to tell all these stories. People need to hear about them. Why should somebody write about Woman King, which is about a Kenyan, and then like it becomes like a blockbuster? The power is within you. Empower yourself. Nobody is going to clean your house. Everybody needed to wake up and start cleaning their door for the whole world to be clean. Myself as Letoya, I had the opportunity to go to H&M or Hugo Boss to dress up, but I chose a Kenyan designer and somebody that is coming from a place that is less admired, and I came up with beauty. What can you do? And I'm looking for you young people. Let us come together, create powerful fashion show, have dialogues and have conversations that way beyond even the United Nations, because we are united, together we stand.
That is awesome. Thank you
For
so
Africa.
much. Thank you so much. So, Letoya, it has been such a joy to meet here and to have this conversation.
Thank you.
This is probably the first time, but I guarantee I almost predict it will not be the last, and I look forward to seeing you.
I'm looking forward to it. Thank you so much for having me. I'd love to have more conversations. I'd love to have more people having this kind of conversations. And yes, I had to work so hard as a transgender woman, but there are so many people in the transgender community, and I want you people to understand this. Transzuri is transgender specific, but it is housing intersex and gender non-conforming persons, and our main goal is actually using genderless fashion for skills development for people to be able to have income, or for income generation to help build ourselves. I don't want people to go through the poverty because of my sexual orientation, like what other people are doing. I'm a fashion model. I want people to hire not only me, but then other people in the LGBT community to walk down the runway, because we are coming in as models. We are not coming in as our gender or sexes. We come in because we are good, and people need to differentiate that. And in as much as the government don't like us, and in as much as we are being killed, like Edwin Chiloba and Erica Chandra, I want people to know that killing us is not the end. We are here, and we are here to stay, and the society is only strong and better when it is inclusive. And somebody needed to change and repeal that Article 162 and 165 of the Constitution of Kenya.
Yes.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing with us. So, friends, we've been talking to Letoya, just an outstanding woman, just a great lady. A great person, a decent human being, a great Kenyan, and it's been just such a joy to talk to her. Do you have social media? If people wanted to reach out to you, where can they reach you, and how can they find you?
Yes.
And about you to talk about your
organization.
Yeah, your NGO.
Yes.
So can you look in the camera and tell them how to find you?
So if you'd love to support us, please write to us at Transzuri 2022. It is Transzuri, not Transzuri, but Transzuri, TRANZURI 2022 at gmail.com. That one is you want to support Transzuri, the organization. For Letoya Johnstone, my handles on social media are on Instagram, Letoya_Johnstone, LETOYA_ John and Stone put together, so Johnstone. And then on YouTube, I'm Letoya Johnstone. On Facebook, I'm Letoya Johnstone. And on Twitter, I am Letoya Johnstone. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. So go ahead and follow Letoya Johnstone and support her work. I think her case is understandable to me, and I hope to you, regardless of where we come from, what we believe, our culture. We are first and foremost human beings, and all of us deserve equal opportunity. And I think that's the argument you just made here.
Yes.
I heard it loud and clear.
Yeah.
So friends, until next time, like, share, subscribe, and don't forget to hit that notification bell for me. And we'll be connecting with you again. Thank you so much. All right.
Yes, and this is yours truly.
Yes.
This one here, it's yours truly, Letoya Johnstone, XO Toy Toy Baby, kill it with love, #Pungulu.com. Yes, darling. Make sure you stop.
Welcome to Tribal Chic.